Most people read the story of Elijah as a series of spectacular random events. We see fire, we see rain, and we see a chariot. But if you look closer, forensically, at the 7 recorded miracles of his life, a terrifyingly precise architecture emerges. This isn't just biography, it's a blueprint. In ancient Hebrew thought, the number 7 represents divine completion. Elijah wasn't just performing miracles, he was reconstructing a broken nation, one layer at a time. Today we decode the 7 patterns of the prophet of fire. It begins not with a prayer, but with a challenge. Elijah stands before King Ahab and declares a drought. But this wasn't about weather. In the ancient Near East, the god Baal was worshipped as the Lord of the rain. By shutting the heavens, Elijah was issuing a legal subpoena against a counterfeit god. The pattern. God begins the restoration of a nation by exposing the impotence of its idols. Before the fire can fall, the false gods must first be proven silent. Elijah is sent to the brook Cherith. Here, the deep pattern takes a strange turn. He is fed by ravens. In Levitical law, ravens are unclean scavengers. The forensic detail. Why would God use an unclean source to sustain his holy prophet? Because the architecture of restoration requires us to trust the source, not a channel. God was stripping Elijah of his religious comforts, preparing him to find life in a place of death. Next, the scene shifts to a widow's house in Zarephath. She has nothing left but a handful of flour. Elijah asks for it all. The pattern. This is the miracle of the empty space. The oil and flour never ran out because the widow was willing to stay in a state of perpetual dependence. In the economy of the kingdom, God doesn't give you a warehouse of blessings. He gives you daily bread. He fills the jar only when it is empty. Restoration begins when we admit our resources are gone. Then tragedy strikes. The widow's son dies. This is the first resurrection ever recorded in the Bible. The deep insight. Notice the structure. We've moved from the nation, drought, to the prophet, ravens, to the household, oil, and now to the individual, the son. The architecture of God is outside in. He humbles the king, then the prophet, then the family, until finally he touched the very heart of human grief. If Elijah cannot master death in a private room, he cannot master fire on a public mountain. Now, the climax. Mount Carmel. Elijah douses his altar with 12 jars of water. Why? To eliminate natural causes. This was a forensic demonstration. The reveal. When the fire fell, it didn't just burn the meat. It consumed the stones, the dust, and the water. It was a total reclamation. This miracle proves that when God returns to a nation, he doesn't just offer a patch for the old system. He consumes the old system entirely to make way for the new. Elijah's work ends at the Jordan River. He strikes the water with his mantle, a callback to Moses, and it parts. He's retracing the steps of the Exodus. Then, the chariot of fire. Elijah doesn't die. He's withdrawn. 7 miracles, a complete structure. From the silence of the heavens to the fire of the heavens. Elijah's life proves that God's restoration is methodical. It starts with a drought to wake us up and ends with a fire to take us home. The question is, are you watching the story or are you part of the pattern?